The night was quiet but not peaceful. The sky was dark, covered with heavy clouds. The forest whispered with the sound of wind. Strange shadows moved between the trees. A mother walked quickly, holding her daughter's hand. Her steps were fast, but her face showed fear. She kept looking back as if danger was following them. Her daughter was small, maybe 9 years old, with bright eyes full of trust. She did not understand why her mother was so afraid. She only knew they had to run. The mother's breathing grew heavy, but she never let go of the girl's hand. She whispered again and again, "Stay close to me. Don't stop." The forest was not safe. Everyone in their village knew it. Strange warriors had been seen there. They were not human. Their bodies were tall and strong, their eyes glowing like fire in the night. They carried bows that shot arrows faster than the wind, and those arrows were not made of wood or steel. They burned with a deadly, shining light. No one who faced them returned alive. Suddenly, a sound broke the night. Snap! A branch cracked behind them. The mother froze for a moment, pulling her daughter close. She listened. At first, nothing. Then footsteps. Many footsteps. The sound grew louder. The air felt colder. Her heart raced. She knew they had been found. She whispered, "Run!" And both of them began to run faster through the trees. The girl stumbled, but the mother held her tight. Behind them, voices rose, harsh and cruel. They were laughing. The warriors were near. The mother's eyes filled with fear, but also with fire. She had only one thought: protect her daughter at any cost. Then the arrows came. Bright streaks of light shot through the dark trees. One arrow hit a tree near them, burning the bark. Another flew past the girl's hair, missing her by inches. The girl screamed, and the mother pulled her closer, shielding her small body. The warriors stepped out of the shadows. Their armor glowed faintly in the night. Their faces were sharp and merciless. Their bows glowed with deadly arrows, ready to strike again. There were 6 of them. Their leader, taller than the rest, raised his hand. The others stopped, waiting for his command. The mother knew they could not escape. She turned quickly, pushing her daughter behind her. She spread her arms wide, standing between the girl and the glowing arrows. Her voice shook, but it was strong. "You will not touch her." The leader laughed, a cruel, echoing sound. "Foolish woman," he said in a deep, cold voice. "Do you think you can stop us?" He raised his hand, and 3 warriors pulled back their bows. The glowing arrows pointed at the little girl. The mother's heart pounded. Time seemed to slow. She saw the arrows ready to fly. She looked back at her daughter's face, those wide, innocent eyes filled with tears. And in that moment, she made her choice. She threw herself in front of her daughter. The arrows flew. Thump, thump, thump. The glowing shaft struck her body. She screamed in pain, but her arms still spread wide, protecting her child. Her knees shook, but she did not fall. She stood like a shield, though blood ran down her clothes. The girl cried loudly, holding her mother's side. "Mama, no! Please!" Her small voice cut through the forest. But the warriors only laughed again. To them it was entertainment. To them it was nothing to kill. The mother's vision blurred. She could hardly breathe, but she whispered, "Stay, behind me." Her voice was weak, yet her will was unbroken. She would not let them harm her daughter. The leader raised his hand again. More arrows were prepared. The warriors aimed, ready to finish the job. The girl sobbed, pressing her face into her mother's back. She did not want to watch. She only wanted someone, anyone, to help. The mother, even as she bled, lifted her head to the dark sky. Her voice broke with pain, but she shouted into the night, "Help us! Please, somebody, help!" Her scream echoed across the forest, filled with fear and desperate hope. The warriors laughed louder. "No one will come," their leader mocked. He nodded, and the bows pulled tight again. The next arrows would be the last, but then something changed. The wind shifted. A strange sound came from the trees ahead, not like the warriors, not like the forest. It was a low hum, almost metallic. The warriors paused, their laughter fading. Their eyes narrowed. The leader raised his hand, signaling them to wait. The mother felt her knees weaken, but she also felt something else: hope. Her scream had been answered. A figure moved in the distance, stepping out of the shadows. It was not an alien warrior. It was not one of them at all. It was a human. The forest was silent for one long moment. Even the wind stopped moving, as if the trees themselves were waiting. The warriors stared into the shadows where the strange sound had come from. Their glowing eyes narrowed, their bows half drawn. The leader's cruel smile faded. Something unexpected was here, something they had not planned for. The mother, bleeding but standing, looked toward the sound too. Her vision was blurry, but she saw movement between the trees. A figure was stepping forward. Each step was slow, heavy, but filled with purpose. The child held her mother's hand tightly, whispering in fear, "Mama, who is that?" But the mother could not answer. She did not know herself. The figure came closer, and the dim light revealed him. He was not like the warriors. His body was covered in strange armor, but not glowing like theirs. His helmet reflected the moonlight, and in his hand was a weapon none of them had ever seen. It was long, metallic, with a faint blue light running along its side. A gasp escaped the mother's lips. He was human, a human in a place where no humans should be. She did not understand. Was he real? Or only a dream created by her desperate cry? The leader of the warriors growled, his voice deep like thunder. A human? He laughed suddenly, but this time his laugh was uneasy. Impossible. No human can survive here. He raised his bow toward the man. Kill him! The warriors pulled back their glowing arrows. They aimed, ready to fire. The girl screamed, "No! Please don't." She stepped forward, but her mother pulled her back, even though pain ripped through her body. The mother shook her head. "Stay here," she whispered, though her own heart was breaking. The human did not move. He stood tall, his face hidden behind his helmet. For a moment it seemed he might turn and leave. But instead he raised his weapon. A faint hum filled the air, soft but powerful. The warriors hesitated. Then the first arrow flew. It sped through the air, glowing like fire. The girl gasped. But the human lifted his arm. A blue shield flashed into existence, a wall of light forming before him. The arrow struck it and burned away into nothing. The forest lit up with sparks. The girl's eyes widened in wonder. "He stopped it," she whispered. The mother, weak but watching, felt hope rise in her chest. Someone had come. Someone had answered her desperate cry. The warriors roared in anger and fired again, 3 arrows this time. All struck the glowing shield, all burned away. The human took a step forward, calm and fearless. His weapon hummed louder, brighter. The leader snarled, "He is only one man. Break him!" The warriors spread out, circling him. Their bows glowed brighter, their movements fast and deadly. But the human moved faster. He swung his weapon, and a beam of blue light shot forward, slicing the air. One of the warriors fell back, his bow shattered into pieces. The others hesitated. Fear flickered in their glowing eyes. The child clung to her mother. Her small voice shook. "Mama, he came for us?" The mother whispered weakly, "I don't know, but he is here." Tears rolled down her face, not from pain, but from a feeling she thought she had lost. Hope. The leader growled again, furious. "You will all die here, human, woman, and child." He lifted his bow high, his arrow brighter than the others. It pulsed with deadly energy. The ground itself seemed to tremble. The human looked at him, silent. No words, no fear. He stepped forward again, his shield glowing brighter, his weapon humming louder. The little girl's heart pounded. Her tears had not yet dried, but her voice broke the silence. She cried out again, her voice trembling but strong. "Help us, please." Her words echoed across the forest, bouncing between the trees. It was not just a scream of fear anymore. It was a call that gave strength to the one who stood to protect them. The warriors charged. Arrows filled the air like rain. The mother closed her eyes, holding her daughter tight. She thought it was the end, but it was not. The human moved like lightning. His shield flashed, blocking arrow after arrow. His weapon swung, releasing arcs of energy. The forest lit up blue and gold as battle raged. One by one, the warriors fell back, their bows broken, their bodies wounded. The mother opened her eyes, shocked. He was still standing. The arrows had not pierced him. The child stared in awe, her tears forgotten. But it was not over. The leader still stood. His glowing eyes burned with rage. He shouted a command, and the remaining warriors regrouped. "You think you can stop us, human? You think you can protect them?" His voice shook the night. The human finally spoke, his voice deep, steady, and calm. "I don't think." "I know," the girl gasped. It was the first time she had heard him speak. The leader snarled and raised his bow again. The light of his arrow was brighter than ever, bright enough to blind. The forest seemed to tremble under its power. The mother's hand tightened around her daughter's. Her body was weak, but her eyes stayed fixed on the stranger. She prayed silently. She prayed he would not fall. The battle was not finished. It was only beginning. The night glowed with strange light. Blue sparks from the human shield still floated in the air, mixing with the burning glow of the alien arrows. The mother, weak and bleeding, held her daughter close. Her eyes stayed fixed on the stranger. She still could not believe what she was seeing. A human, here, in the middle of the deadly forest. The warriors circled him, their sharp faces twisted with rage. They had fought many enemies before. They had burned villages, destroyed towns. No one had ever stopped them. But this man stood alone, his strange weapon glowing, and he had not fallen. The leader of the warriors narrowed his eyes. His armor shone brighter than the others, marked with red lines of power. His voice was sharp like steel when he spoke. "You do not belong here, human. This land is ours. Leave now or die." The human did not move. He stood silent, his helmet hiding his face. The girl clung to her mother, whispering, "Mama, he's not afraid." The mother's lips trembled. She whispered back, "No, he is not." The leader growled in anger at the silence. He raised his hand and the warriors moved. They fired a rain of arrows faster and harder than before. The sky filled with burning streaks of light. The human lifted his shield. Blue light burst from it, forming a wall in front of him. The arrows struck again and again, but none passed through. Sparks exploded, lighting the trees around them. Smoke rose into the night. Then the human moved. His weapon pulsed with energy. With one swing, a wave of blue light shot forward. It struck the ground with a blast. 2 warriors were thrown back, their bows shattered. The leader's eyes burned with fury. "Pathetic tricks," he spat. He leaped forward faster than the others. His arrow glowed brighter, longer, sharper. He aimed straight for the human's chest. The girl gasped. "No," she cried, but the human was ready. He twisted his body, the arrow sliding past his side. The blue shield flashed again, deflecting the second strike. He stepped forward, his weapon glowing brighter. The battle became fast, too fast for the girl's eyes. Blue light against burning fire, shield against arrow. Each clash echoed through the forest like thunder. Trees cracked, dirt flew, sparks lit the air. The mother held her daughter close, whispering, "Don't look." But the girl could not turn away. She had never seen anything like this. It was terrifying, yet it filled her with hope. The warriors shouted, trying to surround the human again, but he fought with skill they had never seen. He moved like water, smooth but powerful. Each step, each strike was perfect. He did not waste a single motion. Still, the leader was strong. His arrows carried more power than the rest. Each strike shook the ground. Each attack was meant to kill. And though the human blocked them, the force pushed him back step by step. The girl's heart sank. "Mom, he's losing." The mother shook her head even as her body trembled. "No, he is not losing. He is testing." The girl did not understand, but she trusted her mother's words. The leader laughed darkly, his voice echoing. "You fight well for a human, but you are nothing. You will fall, and they will die with you." The human finally spoke, his voice steady, calm but filled with power. "Not today." His weapon glowed brighter than before. The blue light spread down the blade, humming like thunder. He stepped forward faster than the girl's eyes could follow. He struck, and the leader barely blocked in time. The clash exploded, a wave of force sending leaves flying into the night sky. The warriors around them froze, shocked. Never had anyone pushed their leader back. The leader's face twisted in anger. He snarled and attacked again, but this time his strikes were not calm. They were wild, furious, desperate. The human blocked each one, his shield flashing with light. The girl whispered, "He's not just fighting. He's protecting us." Her mother's weak smile trembled. "Yes, he came because you called." The leader roared, lifting his bow high. A final arrow began to form, brighter than the moon itself. It pulsed with deadly energy, shaking the ground beneath their feet. The other warriors stepped back, even they afraid of its power. The girl screamed, "Mama, it's too strong." The mother whispered, her voice fading, "Trust him." The human stood tall, unmoving. His weapon hummed louder, glowing with pure light. The blue energy spread out around him, forming not just a shield but a dome of protection. It covered him, the mother, and the child the leader fired. The arrow streaked across the sky, a beam of deadly fire. It struck the dome, and the forest exploded with sound and light. Trees shattered, dirt flew. The night turned white with burning energy. The mother shielded her daughter with her arms, waiting for death. But death did not come. When the smoke cleared, the dome still stood. The human was inside it, his weapon glowing brighter than ever. His voice cut through the silence. "Your power ends here." The leader stumbled back, his eyes wide with disbelief. The other warriors whispered in fear. For the first time, they saw something they had never felt before. Doubt. The battle was not finished. But everything had changed. The forest was broken now. Trees burned where the glowing arrows had struck. Smoke rose into the night sky, mixing with sparks of blue light from the human's strange weapon. The mother leaned weakly against a tree, her daughter's arms around her waist. Both stared at the fight that raged before them. The human stood tall, his shield glowing like a small piece of the sky. Across from him, the alien leader raised his bow again, his face twisted with rage. Around them, the other warriors hesitated. For the first time, fear flickered in their glowing eyes. But the leader would not allow fear. His voice cut the silence, sharp and cruel. He is only one man. He bleeds like any other. End him! At his command, the warriors roared and attacked. 6 of them moved as one, their glowing arrows flashing like falling stars. The night filled with deadly fire. The human lifted his weapon. His shield flared, catching the first wave of arrows. Sparks flew, lighting the ground in bursts of golden blue. He moved quickly, faster than the warriors expected. Each step was sharp, each swing precise. He blocked, deflected, and struck back with beams of energy. One warrior screamed as his bow shattered under a blue strike. Another fell back, his armor cracked by the force of a shield slam. The human fought with a rhythm, as if each motion had been practiced 1,000 times. The little girl's eyes widened. "Mama, he's fighting them all." Her mother, weak but watching, whispered, "Yes, he fights like a storm." Still, the battle was not easy. For every warrior he struck down, another pressed in. The leader himself loosed arrows so powerful they shook the earth. One strike grazed the human's shoulder, leaving sparks and smoke. He staggered for a moment. The girl gasped, "He's hurt!" But the man did not fall. He pressed forward, his shield glowing brighter. He swung his weapon in a wide arc, releasing a wave of light. The blast sent 3 warriors flying back into the trees. The ground cracked where they fell. The forest itself seemed to cry out. Animals fled into the night. The air smelled of fire and iron. The leader snarled, his voice booming. "You think you can fight us, human? You are nothing. This world is not yours." For the first time, the man answered him with more than a whisper. His voice was steady, low, but powerful. "Then why are you afraid?" The leader roared in fury and charged forward. His bow became a blade of fire, glowing red. He swung with deadly speed. The human met him head-on. Blue light clashed with burning red. The impact shook the ground, sending dust into the sky. The girl screamed and held her mother tighter. "Mama, the ground is breaking." Her mother's hand brushed her hair, weak but gentle. "This is not just a fight. This is 2 worlds colliding." The clash continued. The human moved like water, his weapon flowing with energy. The leader struck like a storm, each blow heavy, cruel, full of anger. Sparks lit the air with every hit. The warriors stood back now, afraid to interfere. Their leader's pride and strength were being tested, and none dared step between. The human blocked another fiery strike, then countered with speed. His blade of light slashed across the leader's chest. The alien stumbled, his armor cut, glowing blood dripping onto the ground. The warriors gasped. Their leader had been wounded. It was unthinkable. The leader's eyes burned brighter. Rage filled him. He lifted both hands, pulling energy into his bow until it glowed like the sun. The air trembled. Trees bent under the force. The little girl screamed and buried her face into her mother's chest. The mother whispered, trembling, "Hold on, just hold on." The leader roared and released the arrow. It was no ordinary strike. It was a spear of fire, a weapon meant to destroy everything in its path. The human planted his feet, his shield raised. The blue dome expanded, wrapping around him and the 2 behind him. The fire struck. The explosion lit the night brighter than day. For a moment, all was white. The ground split, trees fell, smoke filled the sky. The mother coughed, holding her daughter close. She thought they were gone. She thought nothing could stop such power. But when the smoke cleared, the dome still stood. Cracks ran across it, glowing, fragile. The human inside kneeled, his shield arm trembling but unbroken. He had held it. The leader's face twisted with disbelief. Impossible. The girl lifted her head, her tears shining in the light. She whispered, "He saved us again." The mother's weak smile trembled. "Yes, but he cannot fight forever." The leader roared in anger, pulling another arrow, but his hand shook. His strength was fading, his pride wounded. The human rose slowly, his weapon humming louder than before. His voice carried across the battlefield. "This ends tonight," the warriors froze. Even the forest seemed to listen. The clash was not over, but the balance had shifted. One man, a stranger, had turned the impossible into hope, and hope was more dangerous than any weapon. The forest burned in silence after the blast. Smoke curled upward like black snakes, and the ground still glowed with cracks of fire. The mother pressed her daughter against her chest, both trembling but alive. The human stood just ahead of them, his shield dim, his shoulders heavy. Yet he had not fallen. The alien leader's armor was cracked, his chest bleeding faintly with glowing red light. His breath came heavy, his eyes burning with rage and shame. Never before had he been wounded by any creature, and never by a human. His warriors stood in silence, their heads lowered, unsure if they should attack or retreat. The leader raised his hand, stopping them. His voice was low but sharp, filled with fury. "No, he is mine." The human straightened, his weapon humming softly. He did not speak. He only took one step forward, his shield shifting into place again. His silence was louder than any insult. The girl whispered, her voice full of fear, "Mama, why doesn't he talk more?" Her mother, pale and weak, whispered back, "Because he speaks with his strength." The leader growled, gripping his bow tighter. Energy poured into it, brighter and brighter, until it glowed like molten metal. The air itself shivered around him. He stepped forward, pointing the bow at the human. "This is no longer a battle," he declared. "This is a challenge. One life against another. If you win, they go free. If you lose—" He pointed his bow toward the mother and child. "They die with you." The girl gasped, her hands clutching her mother's torn clothes. "Mama, what if he loses?" Her mother's heart ached, but she spoke softly. "Do not lose hope. He came when no one else would. Trust him." The human's head tilted slightly as if he had heard their words. He lifted his weapon, the blue glow spreading across the blade like lightning. His voice was steady, calm, unshaken. "I accept." The warriors stepped back in a circle, creating space. The air was heavy, every tree watching, every shadow waiting. This was no longer many against one. It was leader against stranger. The leader roared and charged. His bow became a blade of burning fire. He swung with deadly strength, aiming for the human's head. The human blocked, the blue shield flaring bright. The ground shook as the two powers met. Sparks of red and blue exploded, lighting the forest like storm fire. Again and again they clashed. Each strike echoed like thunder. The leader struck hard. Every blow fueled by anger, by pride, by the need to prove he was still invincible. The human fought steady. Each block timed perfectly. Each counter sharp and precise. The warriors watched in silence, their glowing eyes wide. Never had they seen their leader forced back. Never had they seen his strikes fail to break an enemy. The little girl could not breathe. She held her mother's hand tight, her eyes fixed on the fight. Every time the leader swung, she flinched. Every time the human stood tall again, her heart leapt. The mother whispered weakly, "Do you see, my child? He does not fight only for himself. He fights for us." The girl's tears shone in the firelight. Then, "He must win!" the leader roared, unleashing a storm of strikes. His fire burned hotter, his eyes glowing with madness. He struck with both hands, each blow strong enough to shatter stone. The human staggered under the force, his shield trembling, his steps heavy. The girl cried out, "Mama, he's falling." The mother shook her head. "No. Watch his eyes." Through the cracks of light, the human's helmet tilted upward. Though his face could not be seen, his stance told the truth. He was not broken. He was waiting. The leader pulled back for one final strike. His bow blazed like the sun, so bright even his warriors turned their eyes away. He shouted, "Die, human!" and brought the weapon down with all his strength. The ground trembled. The trees shook. The fire roared, but the human moved. With sudden speed he spun, his shield catching the blow just enough to push it aside. His weapon pulsed with light, brighter than before. In one motion he struck. The blue blade cut across the leader's chest. The impact exploded with force, sending the alien crashing to the ground. Dust and fire filled the air. The warriors gasped in shock. Their leader thrown down before their eyes. The girl covered her mouth, her eyes wide. He did it?" The mother's weak smile trembled. "Not yet, child. The leader still breathes." Indeed, the alien groaned, rising slowly, his body broken but not destroyed. His eyes burned hotter than ever. His voice cracked with fury. "I will not fall to a human, never." The human stood tall, his weapon humming louder, glowing brighter. His voice was calm, but it cut the air like steel. Your time is over. The leader roared again, but his body wavered. His pride was unbroken, but his strength was failing. The battle had reached its breaking point. The girl's small voice carried across the silent forest. Please, finish it. Save us, the human's grip tightened. The clash was not done, but the end was close. The forest was heavy with silence. Smoke drifted between broken trees, and the ground glowed faintly with cracks of fire. The warriors stood in a wide circle, their glowing eyes fixed on the two figures in the center. Their leader, proud and furious, rose to his feet. His armor was split, glowing blood running down his chest. Across from him, the human stood still, his weapon glowing brighter with each breath. The girl clung to her mother's hand, whispering, "Mama, is it over?" Her mother shook her head weakly. "Not yet. The storm has not passed." The alien leader's voice tore through the air. "You think this is victory? No, this is nothing. I will show you my true power." His bow pulsed with energy, growing brighter and heavier. The ground itself trembled under its light. The warriors murmured in awe. None had ever seen their leader call so much power at once. The human did not flinch. He stepped forward, calm, silent. His blue shield shimmered and his weapon's hum grew deeper, like thunder before rain. The leader charged, swinging his fiery weapon. Sparks exploded as red struck blue. The force cracked the earth and the sound echoed like a storm breaking the sky. The girl covered her ears, her eyes wide with fear. "Mama, he can't hold it." But her mother's gaze stayed on the stranger. "Watch. He is waiting." The leader attacked again, faster, harder. Each strike was wild, full of rage, but also full of pride. He wanted not just to kill, but to prove his strength. The human blocked every strike, his shield flashing with light. He staggered once, twice, but he never fell. His movements were steady, his steps careful. It was as if he was letting the leader burn himself out. The girl gasped as she realized, "Mama, he's not losing. He's watching." Her mother nodded faintly. "Yes, he learns his enemy. Then he ends them." The leader screamed in fury, his strikes slower now, his breaths heavy. His glowing armor dimmed, cracks spreading across it. The fire in his bow flickered as his strength drained away. The human lifted his weapon high. The blue glow expanded, filling the clearing with light. The warriors stepped back, shielding their eyes. Even the trees seemed to lean away from the power. The leader growled, stumbling but refusing to kneel. "No, I will not fall to you." He pulled his bow tight one last time, forming an arrow brighter than all before. His voice cracked with rage and desperation. "You are nothing." The girl cried out, "No, he's not nothing. He's hope." Her words cut through the night like a bell. The human's head tilted slightly as if he had heard her. His grip tightened on the weapon, his shield glowing full. The leader released his arrow. The forest shook as the burning light raced forward. The human moved. He lifted his weapon, and the blue energy surged through it like a storm. He swung, and the blade of light cut through the fire. The arrow shattered, sparks raining down across the ground. The air rang with the sound of breaking power. The leader froze, eyes wide. His ultimate strike. Destroyed. The human stepped forward, his weapon glowing brighter, humming louder. Each step was heavy, unstoppable, like the march of fate itself. The leader stumbled back, fear now flickering in his burning eyes. The warriors whispered among themselves, their voices shaking. He broke the arrow. The arrow cannot be broken. The girl's tears spilled, but this time they were not only fear, they were hope. "Mama, he's winning." Her mother's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Yes. The turning point has come." The leader swung desperately, but his blows were weak, his fire fading. The human blocked easily, then struck with force. His blade of light cut across the leader's arm, shattering his bow. The fiery weapon split into pieces, falling dead to the ground. The leader cried out in fury and pain. His hand sparked, glowing blood dripping from it. He fell to his knees, his armor cracked, his pride shattered. The warriors gasped in horror. Their leader's weapon gone. His strength broken. The human stood over him, his weapon glowing like the heart of the stars. His voice was calm, but it carried across the forest with power. "This ends now." The leader snarled, still defiant even as he bled. No human decides my fate, but the truth was clear. His strength was gone. His pride could not protect him anymore. The girl stepped forward, her small voice trembling but brave. "Please, stop hurting us. We only wanted to live." Her words silenced even the warriors. For the first time, shame crossed their glowing faces. They looked at her, then at the human, and then at their leader. The leader bowed his head, trembling. His voice broke. I cannot be defeated. But his body said otherwise. His body was already defeated. The human lowered his weapon, but the blue light did not fade. His eyes, hidden behind his helmet, stayed fixed on the leader. He did not strike. Not yet, the mother whispered weakly. He is choosing between death and mercy. The girl held her breath. Her small heart pounded, waiting for the choice that would decide everything. The battle was over. The turning point had come. But the end was still in the human's hands. The forest was silent at last. The crackling fire from broken trees faded, leaving only smoke rising into the night. The warriors stood frozen, their glowing bows lowered. Their leader knelt in the dirt, his armor broken, his chest heaving with heavy breaths. His pride was gone, his fire dim. Before him the human stood tall, his weapon glowing faint blue, humming softly. The battle was over, yet the air still carried tension. The mother and child watched in silence, hearts racing. The girl whispered, "Mama, is it finished?" Her mother's voice was weak but steady. Not yet. The victor must decide. The leader's eyes burned, but now with fear more than rage. He looked up at the stranger who had beaten him. "Kill me," he spat, though his voice trembled. "If you don't, I will rise again." The human did not move. His shield dimmed slowly, folding back into his armor. His weapon glowed brighter for a moment, then softer, like a star calming after a storm. His voice, low but clear, carried across the clearing. "No, you will not rise again, because your people have seen the truth." The warriors looked at one another, their faces uncertain. For the first time, their faith in their leader cracked. For the first time, they saw someone stronger. Someone not fueled by cruelty, but by courage. The girl stepped forward, small but fearless. Her eyes shone with tears. "Please, don't hurt us anymore. We just want to live." The leader stared at her, shocked. No one had ever spoken to him like that, least of all a child. He looked at his warriors, but they did not move. They did not raise their bows. They only lowered their heads in silence. The human's weapon faded, its light vanishing into the night. He turned his head slightly, looking toward the mother and child. Slowly he walked to them. The girl rushed forward, tears streaming down her face. "You saved us. You saved Mama." She clung to his armor, small arms wrapping around him. For a moment he stood still, surprised. Then gently one armored hand rested on her shoulder. The mother coughed, her wounds heavy, but her eyes met his. She whispered through weak breaths, Why would you risk your life for strangers?" The human knelt beside her. He opened a small pack on his side, pulling out strange tools. Small vials glowing with blue light and bandages made from material the mother had never seen. He spoke softly, because every life deserves saving. He poured the glowing liquid into her wounds. The pain eased, warmth spreading through her body. Her breathing slowed, her strength returning little by little. Tears filled her eyes, not from pain but from relief. The girl held her mother's hand, smiling for the first time that night. "Mama, you'll be okay." The warriors watched in silence. Their leader lowered his head, shame heavy in his eyes. None of them moved to stop the stranger. None dared. The human stood again, his weapon gone, his shield hidden. The battle was finished, but his presence was still powerful. The girl looked up at him, her voice curious. "Will you stay with us? Will you protect us again?" He looked down at her, silent for a moment. Then he shook his head slowly. "My path is not here," her smile faded. "But where will you go?" He turned his gaze to the sky. The heavy clouds had parted, revealing the stars above. His voice was calm, almost distant. "There are many who still need saving. My journey is not finished." The mother, still weak but healing, whispered, "Then at least, tell us your name." For a long moment he was silent. The forest waited, the stars above shining like distant fires. Then at last he spoke. "My name is forgotten, but you may call me the Guardian." The girl's eyes widened. "Guardian." She repeated the word softly as if it were a secret gift. The human turned away, his steps slow but steady. The warriors moved aside, lowering their heads as he passed. None dared raise a weapon. None dared defy him. The leader, broken and kneeling, watched with burning eyes. But deep inside, a spark of fear and respect had taken root. The mother whispered to her daughter as they watched him fade into the shadows. "Remember this night, child. Remember the one who came when no one else would." The girl nodded, holding her mother's hand tightly. "I'll never forget." He saved us, and he gave us hope. The stars above shimmered brighter as if listening. The guardian disappeared into the forest, his figure swallowed by darkness. But his light remained, in the hearts of those he had saved. The forest was no longer just a place of fear. It had become the place where a new story began. A story of hope, a story of survival, and a story of a human who chose mercy over vengeance. The girl whispered one last time before sleep claimed her. "Guardian, come back one day." And though the night gave no answer, the stars seemed to shine brighter as if promising that the story was not truly over.